Brian Norman, I thank him for the opportunity, to give me the chance to fight for the world title, win a world title, and
Sure. And Devin, he don't want that. He's terrified. He has PTSD.
Haney has stirred up serious controversy with his latest comments about Ryan Garcia. His reaction wasn't subtle, and it's quickly become one of the most talked about topics in boxing circles. The biggest headline? The possibility of a rematch just took a dramatic turn. Haney's stance on running it back has people across the sport debating what really comes next. But that's only part of the story. There are now growing reports that discussions surrounding a potential showdown with Shakur Stevenson are more advanced than many expected. Insiders suggest that the fight may be closer to becoming official than fans realize, that if that turns out to be true, it could completely reshape the landscape of the division. Between unfinished business with Garcia and the looming Stevenson matchup, Haney appears to be positioning himself at the center of boxing's biggest conversations, and depending on how this unfolds, the next move could define the future of the division.
Last question for me. You spoke about it a little while ago, Devin Haney, and one thing he said recently, he said the rematch wouldn't happen because you had dropped out of Nevada. Can you just right here, right now, clarify that so that there's no impediment to the fight?
Let me answer that question.
I mean, just look.
Let me answer that question.
You think I got an IV? Like, bro, this is a blood work.
Let me answer that question. People say all kinds of nonsense, but Ryan's been doing testing.
Here's what people behind the scenes are reportedly saying, because the situation may be even bigger than it first appeared. After Ryan Garcia captured the WBC welterweight title with the dominant win over Mario Barrios, most fans assumed the next logical move would be a second fight with Devin Haney. The rematch has been looming ever since their first meeting, and with both fighters now holding major belts, a unification bout seemed like the obvious play. But instead of focusing on Haney, Garcia publicly shifted his attention toward Shakur Stevenson. That decision reportedly did not sit well with Haney. Sources familiar with the ongoing discussions claim Haney views Garcia's move as a clear attempt to avoid running things back. From that perspective, the timing raises eyebrows. Both fighters are champions in the same division. The stakes are higher than ever. Yet rather than pushing for what many consider unfinished business, Garcia is targeting a completely different opponent. Insiders say Haney has interpreted that as a slight, and possibly something more. According to individuals close to his camp, Haney believes Garcia understands exactly how their first fight played out and has no interest in revisiting it. Despite the drama and debate that followed that bout, Haney's side reportedly feels confident about what a second matchup would look like. Whether that perception is accurate or not, one thing is clear. Tensions are rising, and the next move could determine the direction of the entire welterweight division.
Ryan Garcia, that fight has question marks. It's unfinished business. We're on a clean playing field, even playing field. We know that I'm going to be victorious. There is no bad blood with Eddie. If an opportunity comes this way, where we can work together, then it will happen.
Reportedly adding fuel to the fire is what's being said behind closed doors. According to individuals with knowledge of the discussions, Ryan Garcia's camp has not shown much enthusiasm for revisiting a fight with Devin Haney at this stage. In fact, sources claim that whenever Haney's name enters the conversation, the focus quickly shifts elsewhere. Rather than entertaining rematch talks, Garcia's team is said to be exploring alternative options. Among the names being floated are Shakur Stevenson, Conor Benn, and even the possibility of settling unfinished business with Rolly Romero. From Haney's standpoint, at least based on what insiders are suggesting, that pattern speaks volumes. With both fighters now operating at the top of the welterweight division, many expected their rivalry to continue. Instead, it appears the spotlight is being redirected toward entirely different matchups, whether it's strategic matchmaking or something more calculated. The optics alone have intensified the tension surrounding this situation.
Devin's Devin. He's fast. He's strong. He has that will to win. You saw in Ryan's fight with Devin. Devin got back off the canvas. He's got a big heart, on lion's heart. So you have to give it up to him. A rematch would be, pretty exciting.
Observers following the back and forth say there's a growing perception that this isn't accidental. It looks intentional. And according to reports, Devin Haney isn't keeping his frustration private. People close to the situation claim Haney took to social media to respond directly. While he didn't mince words, the core of his message was simple. Ryan Garcia can face anyone he chooses, but the one matchup that truly carries weight is the rematch, and that's the one he's not pursuing. Those analyzing the exchange believe Haney's posts were carefully crafted to apply pressure and shape the public narrative. In their view, it was less about venting and more about calling attention to what he sees as unfinished business. But the story doesn't stop there. Several insiders are now suggesting that Haney may be pivoting in a major way. Rather than waiting around, he appears ready to lock in a blockbuster clash with Shakur Stevenson. Sources familiar with ongoing talks say the discussions are serious, and momentum is building behind the scenes. If those negotiations reach the finish line, the announcement could come sooner than expected, and that would dramatically shift the landscape at the top of the division.
He said for now, me and Shakur are on a collision course. Whether it's at 135, whether it's at 140, whether it's at 147, we definitely on a collision course, and we definitely gonna get it on when the time is right.
This is where the situation takes an even more strategic turn. Some insiders believe Devin Haney's willingness to move toward a Shakur Stevenson fight isn't random. It's calculated. The message, according to those close to Haney's camp, is simple. If Ryan Garcia doesn't want to revisit their rivalry, Haney isn't going to wait around. Instead, he'll pursue a matchup that could be even bigger. From that perspective, shifting focus to Stevenson is seen as a statement. It signals that Haney has options and isn't dependent on one opponent to define his next move. People familiar with his mindset describe it as a deliberate power play, a way to show he controls his own path. They ask for the potential Stevenson showdown. Multiple sources say discussions between the two sides have been ongoing for several weeks. The interest reportedly intensified after Stevenson's impressive win over Teofimo Lopez, which elevated the appeal of a clash between two highly skilled champions. According to those connected to the negotiations, both fighters have expressed genuine interest in making the bout happen. If momentum continues at this pace, what once sounded like speculation could soon become one of the sport's most anticipated matchups.
I ain't know which direction I was gonna go in, but if Devin start talking crazy, as I heard he was talking crazy, saying he's staying at 35 for me, so let's do it. I mean, let's make the fight happen. I'm ready. We can fight in Vegas, we can fight in New York, we can fight wherever he want to fight. I'm ready.
Those keeping an eye on the negotiations say the proposed Haney-Stevenson matchup checks every box. From a competitive standpoint, it's compelling. From a business standpoint, it's massive. Both fighters remain undefeated at the highest level. Both hold world titles, and both are widely viewed as elite pound-for-pound talents. Stylistically, it's the kind of chess match that hardcore fans crave. They ask for timing. Individuals familiar with the discussion suggest the bout could realistically land later this year. The sense from both camps, according to insiders, is that there's genuine motivation to move swiftly, particularly now that a Haney-Garcia rematch appears unlikely in the immediate future. Some observers interpret this as Haney making a clear statement. He's no longer waiting around for unfinished business. If one door is closed, he's prepared to walk through another, especially if it leads to a legacy-defining showdown. Meanwhile, there's continued speculation about why the rematch with Ryan Garcia hasn't gained traction. People close to the situation claim that, despite Garcia's confident public persona, there may be hesitation behind the scenes about revisiting that rivalry. According to those familiar with Team Garcia's perspective, they believe the first fight offered a clear picture of how a second encounter might unfold. From their viewpoint, the tactical dynamics favored Haney for most of the contest, and there's skepticism about whether a rematch would produce a different result. Whether that assessment is accurate or simply strategic positioning. The ripple effects are shaping the division in real time, and the next official announcement could change everything.
Round was hard to come back from.
Where does Haney go from this? I mean, a rematch?
Yeah, I think the rematch is huge, but it's obviously it's up to Ryan Garcia. And I think the 140-pound belt goes up in the air, and it's going to be tough for him to take. He's got a bounce.
Observers following the situation say the stylistic matchup is a major factor in all of this. According to people familiar with both camps, Ryan Garcia's team understands exactly what makes Devin Haney a difficult opponent. Haney's jab, defensive awareness, and ability to manage distance are often cited as tools that disrupt Garcia's rhythm. Insiders describe it as a tactical puzzle that hasn't been fully solved. There's also speculation about the intent behind Garcia's recent call-out of Shakur Stevenson, following his win over Mario Barrios. Some sources claim the move wasn't solely about chasing that specific fight. Instead, they suggest it may have doubled as a way to steer clear of a second meeting with Haney. Interestingly, a few analysts believe Garcia's camp view Stevenson as a more manageable matchup, even considering Stevenson's high-level skill set. That perception has fueled debate within boxing circles, with some critics arguing that Garcia appears to be prioritizing calculated opportunities over the most demanding challenge available on the other side. People close to Haney say he's been vocal in private conversations. According to insiders, Haney maintains that their first encounter came with controversy and that a clean, straightforward rematch at welterweight would tell a very different story. The belief within his circle, sources say, is that Garcia understands that risk, which explains the shift in focus toward other names. Zooming out, the ripple effects could reshape the entire welterweight picture. If Haney proceeds with a showdown against Stevenson, while Garcia pursues alternative opponents, the division could split into two distinct narratives, one centered on high-risk, legacy-defining matchups, and another focused on strategic career management. That contrast would not go unnoticed by fans or analysts. From a financial standpoint, there's also a lot at stake. Industry insiders estimate that a Haney-Garcia rematch would be a blockbuster event, potentially generating north of $100 million when factoring in pay-per-view buys, live gate revenue, and commercial partnerships. In other words, beyond pride and legacy, the business implications alone make the situation impossible to ignore. At this point, it's not just about who fights next. It's about who's willing to take the biggest risk when everything is on the line.